Jurassic World Rebirth. I don't know what they're rebirthing.
Jurassic World, a reason to go back.
I guess they were trying to call this a return to form, weren't they? Because they're shooting it on film.
We got the odd scriptwriter in. It's like the Lawrence Kasdan thing.
Which worked just as well this time.
Yeah, the last film I watched of the series was the first Chris Pratt Jurassic World 2015.
That was more of a rebirth. That was like, we're doing the same thing again.
Yeah, well, it was a part of that Creed, Force Awakens, the kind of sequel reboot type of, we're doing it again, but not. And now we're kind of at the end of that cycle, it feels like. Nostalgia reboot things.
Yeah.
And this is trying to go back to that. You know, you've got a semi-auteur in charge.
Yeah, I forgot he had directed it while watching the movie, and the whole time I'm just thinking, this is really bad direction. Like, everything's stilted, and to me, it felt like the Friends edits where they remove the laugh track, so there's just big gaps whenever there should be a joke. You see the lead character chewing mints in the intro, and it just sits on him, chewing mints really loudly in an echoey room. Our audience was dead quiet, no one's laughing, and then he does it twice. And then they're like, all right, you ready? Okay, let's go. And it was just such an awkward beat.
You can imagine the 2-minute-long edit
you just keep doing that 100%. Yeah. But one thing he did do well was scale, I guess. Like, his thing has always been pretty good at scale. Godzilla 2014.
I saw Monsters in the cinema in England and was very impressed.
Oh, that was his, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was a great film.
Good at scale, good at, like, big things. And the action was good. So I think the audience review will probably be not too bad for this.
Yeah. Most people want to go and see dinosaurs do the chompy chomps, and you get that here.
But the character stuff was absolute dog shit.
Each one is like a lesser version of the last, so they keep cloning it, and then it's like... Especially Jurassic Park is kind of a perfect film.
There used to be a podcast called Is It Better Than Jurassic Park? And they would review a movie up against Jurassic Park, and that was the formula.
The original Jurassic Park kind of like, still to me, said kind of all what we need to say about it. Like, I sent you a George St. Pierre's review of, and he was saying how I wish they would just do a film where it's just about the dinosaurs being spooky. It's like, yeah, I think they made about 3 of those ones, but you know.
That's what I'm surprised by in this movie, is that they didn't really return to formula. They stuck with the Jurassic World thing of, oh, there's a engineered dinosaur. Like, even the first Chris Pratt one, the dinosaur could turn invisible. The second one, it was the horror movie where you could point a light and it would attack the light. The third one was probably the most normal, despite the globetrotting and bringing people back. We're bashed over the head immediately with bad writing because they tell us the same thing 4 times in half an hour.
Yeah.
Basically, the setup is that dinosaurs can no longer exist on Earth again because the environment is too hostile. They can only live in a thin line around the equator. And then they tell us that in the opening title sequence. Then they tell us that with Scarlett Johansson's character. Then the scientist man repeats that.
There's even like an animation for it, making it super clear.
Yes, in the background.
Yeah.
And then once we're on the boat and we're going to our first target at pretty much the half-hour mark, they're like, wow, we're going to the islands around the equator because they can only survive around the equator. I'm like, holy shit, I know. The setup is we're basically a video game now, and we need to go get 3 McGuffins from the 3 biggest dinosaurs of water, land, and air.
For a reason that isn't personal to anyone.
No, they make it personal because heart disease killed Scarlett Johansson's mother.
Yeah, but it's not like, even though this might have been cornier, like, your mum's got 2 weeks left.
Yeah.
If only there was a cure-all, even though this went out because it would take years of research to condense this.
It's not even in Scarlett Johansson's first conversation with this guy. It's the second conversation where they're now trying to convince the scientist man to come. He then brings out, oh, I'm sorry about your mum, by the way.
And which threw me off because it's like, they mention the mum.
And they do it repeatedly about mentioning characters that died in the past, especially because she's in it for the money as well. She's in it for the 10 million. And he's like, oh, but also it's personal, didn't you know?
And then they double down on that later when it's not just the mum stuff, but it's this partner.
Yeah.
Because she's kind of a sort of militia.
She's a mercenary with a heart of gold.
That's it. But we're told that, like, in a scale of 5 years, the people's interest in dinosaurs has waned to the point where the dinosaur museum is shutting down and they only managed 12 tickets the previous week in fucking New York, the tourist capital of the world. Like, or one of the big... You're telling me really? Like, and I know it's just the premise of the film.
But it's funny metatextually as well because, like, this is their 7th one, like you said.
Yeah, and zoos are still a thing. We still go see the giraffes. I wouldn't have minded a Ryan Johnson take on, like... a meta of, like, how often can we keep doing this?
Yeah. Why not just do the opposite where, like, they're building too many Jurassic Parks?
Because the demand is so high.
Yeah, because realistically, the demand is so high because Universal shit this movie out in just over a year. Fun fact, it started filming June last year.
You're joking.
They announced it in January last year, started shooting in June, and now we have it in July the following year.
That makes me respect everyone involved. Like, fair enough, Gareth Edwards. Like,
it's literally, Gareth Edwards had, under a year to develop it, as well as the writer. So they literally went to him and said, have this movie in 3 months and we'll give you $1 million. And he was like, oh, I already have one. See, look. And then he just like dropped all these pages. There's 2 scripts there, one about a family, one about a mercenary. They get intermingled because, fun fact, at the half-hour mark, we change movies for a little bit there.
Yeah, well, then that at least makes me obviously respect anyone who makes a film, but Jesus, fair fucking play.
Yeah.
Like, you made a solid enough film,
Yes.
like, for considering the timeline.
Now, rich, evil drug empire guy has got Scarlett Johansson, his mercenary. He now has a doctor. So now they need to go get these 3 McGuffins. So they pick up Mahershala Ali and his boat along the way. And I'm so sad for Mahershala Ali because he's completely wasted in this movie.
2-time Oscar-winning actor.
Yep, and he sat around waiting for Blade for 5 years, and now he's back. And all he does in this movie is someone dies nearby, and then they cut to him, and he looks upset about it.
Because he had a son once.
His son died, and his wife left him because they could only ever see their son in each other or something like
But
that.
that's not like the guiding force of his character or anything.
To explain it, Scarlett Johansson and Mahershala Ali sit down, and Scarlett Johansson says, my old partner died because of an IED. I'm really upset about that, about my old partner that died. And I really liked him. He was a good partner that died. And then he goes, damn, that's rough. Me and my wife lost our son. I really wish I didn't lose my son. I will never let any other sons or daughters die in the future. But then they get an SOS saying, help, I'm stuck on a boat with my kids. And Mahershala Ali says, we have to go get these kids. And then they go pick up the family. Because at the half-hour point, we cut away to this completely pointless family that remains pointless for the rest of the movie, because after they're with our main cast for a 10-minute action scene, they then get split up again
until the
very end.
And then all they're doing is traveling to a location. They aren't trying to solve a problem or anything.
Literally, we just cut back to them walking, constantly. It's very young daughter, dad, older sister, and dipshit boyfriend.
Who does
remain a dipshit, but kind of comes through occasionally. Like, he's not the worst human, but he doesn't have an arc apart from the fact that he's like me. I'm lazy, but if I really need to, do something, I can do it. But in his case, it was to save the daughter. So it's like, okay, fair enough.
There's no attempt at having them, at least in the film we have seen. I don't think him and his girlfriend have any kind of moments together.
No, they barely even talk. I don't think they talk to each other at all.
Interact with each other at all.
Oh God, apart from come on, we have to go.
Yeah.
Jesus. They could have basically been deleted. As much as I like Jurassic Park 3, I enjoyed it in my childhood. You're not always sitting there being like, damn, this monster movie needs a family that I care about. Especially coming from Gareth Edwards that did Godzilla, and no one cares about people in these movies.
There's no real heart because, I only bring up this criticism because in the one, there seems to be, the way it's been marketed, and obviously it's marketing, a grand attempt at being we're going back. We're going back to the core of this.
Yeah.
We've got the film stuck out. We've got the old screenwriter in. We don't have any practical effects, however, which disappointed me.
Except one leg. I'm 90% sure that leg that he touches was real.
Yeah, but when you see the dinosaur with the the one that spits poison and stuff, I remember that looking so awesome, practical.
Even the dinosaur that the little daughter picks up becomes their Grogu, basically.
The toy.
Isn't real. People love Grogu because not only is Grogu cute, but they use a puppet for it, 80% of the time. And it's like, oh, this is a tangible thing. So you get Delilah, and it's just not physical.
I suppose when you tell me with the behind the scenes of this being such a quick turnaround, I guess the CG stuff was just quicker to produce.
Yes.
Than using practicals.
It has to be, because it doesn't look very good. The T-Rex in this, I reckon, looks worse than the T-Rex in the original. Sure, the original was in the dark, and they shot for what they had. That's the charm of it. That's the point. They did what they needed to do. Whereas in this, they're like, oh yeah, broad daylight, that's fine. It's actually, is it golden hour, the whole movie?
Oh, I was going to bring this up to you, but yeah, the film, when we're early on in New York, it has that golden hour magic, and then most of it tries to keep that, the gold bronze look of things.
Yeah.
Yes, there's some pretty decent dinosaur sequences.
Yes.
I quite like the T-Rex sequence with the...
Ripped straight from the book, wasn't it?
I haven't a clue.
I'm pretty sure the raft sequence was ripped straight from the book.
Okay, well, I thought that was a pretty cool sequence by itself.
Yeah.
It's
Even
fun.
the boat stuff worked really well.
I was disappointed. I mean, we all love the Raptors, so I was a bit disappointed we only got to see them like have a cameo. But, you know, I think they're always a cool sequence. It's a shame they did, but... You know, I guess you can have a play Raptors.
So we have our whole team. We have the family. They have to go out of their way to go back and get the family. So immediately when I was watching that, I was like, why not just have it so the mercenary crew goes to the big whale dinosaur and then the family's already under attack by it? I'm like, isn't that just quicker?
Just have that coincidence, yeah. Like,
because otherwise what happens is they go to the big dinosaur, they're about to shoot it, and then they get the SOS and they go, shit, let's drive 26 miles that way, then 26 miles back. After we pick up the family, that was super easy to pick up. Like, it wasn't like there was a death-defying rescue. It was like, pick them up, take them back, and then like, shit, we have to do this thing, and then we'll drop you off. Everything will be fine. So they just put them in more danger and waste 5 minutes of screen time. Yeah. And considering we've had a prelude intro, which I completely forgot to talk about, we're already 45 minutes into the movie at this point.
Yeah.
And the first 10 minutes is spent on the dumbest thing that it was so dumb I completely forgot. But basically, we're in a genetics lab in the intro.
Yes,
and
I completely forgot about it. You're right.
Yeah, all it sets up is that there's a genetics lab on the island, and the island does genetic creatures occasionally, and everything goes to shit. The facility has a breakout of mutant dinosaurs because one of the dipshits that works there drops his wrapper
in a incredibly like hyper clean, like it feels like you wouldn't be allowed to bring any kind of food in there because they've all got suits on.
Even the control system people, and he just drops his Snickers wrapper, gets sucked up into the clean air filter thing, and just blows everything up.
Which then makes the whole system reset and shut down. I mean, okay, you need a reason why.
But do you?
But you can come up with cooler reasons as to why the system shut down, I guess.
Immediately, if you go from the first movie, you just make one of them a hacker.
Or like it's someone's trying to mercy kill it, but then in breaking out.
You just watch 28 Days Later. That's what you're thinking of.
Well, fuck it. You know, at this point. Like,
legitimately, anything except what they did would probably be better.
Given that the mutant, which I don't even think if they gave it a name. The D-Rex. I did see that.
That's what I call myself.
It's... fundamentals of the plot. They don't have to get the blood from it. They don't have to do anything to it.
They don't know it exists.
Until the end.
Yep. Yeah. We see it in the first 10 minutes. It's a rancor, basically. It gets a kill in the first 10 minutes. We don't see it for 2 hours until the last 10 minutes, and then it causes some havoc. Yeah. It's a cool-looking creature. I like the idea, but what I would have done is delete that intro, and then at the halfway point, it kind of becomes an alien horror movie, and you're in this InGen facility that's doing this crap. Yeah. So that way you just like allude to it the whole time that, wait, are there mutants on this island?
Yeah.
Instead, from the get-go, you're like, oh, there's mutants, and we've seen the mutant, and then we're going to see him at the end. Did they want us to forget about him, and then when he turns up, we're like, oh my God, it's him again?
It's bad.
But anyway, yes, so back to the family. They need to shoot the big Laprosaur. And then they do. It's kind of like Jaws, actually. How he's got the spear gun sitting on the front of the boat. Spielberg
is also Jaws, yes. He's called Ed Skrein, right? The actor.
Yes.
Fairly notable.
Yes.
He's cropped up in a few... He's in Deadpool.
He's the bad guy in everything.
He's always comes across a little bit suspicious. But then he appears to shoot the dinosaurs away, then gets bitten, and then seemingly carried off. And I go off the movie rules of if we don't see a confirmed kill. So I was going, see you in the third act, Ed.
For a second there, he's basically holding onto the side of the boat and he's getting bitten. I kind of thought they were going to fake him out where it looks like he's survived. Yeah. But then they turn the corner and he's missing half his body. Yeah. And it's like Lake Placid, is this your friend?
Cool, yeah.
Like that would have been maybe too violent for a kid's movie. I don't know, maybe. Can we cut people in half?
But there's so many characters on this boat at one point, all of which have no real dynamics.
No.
Surely you could have done like a Jonathan Bailey Atlantis type story where he's this expert, he's the only one who identifies, and then he meets this mercenary group, so then we get to learn who they are through him.
Yeah.
Since we're doing just a simple Summer Blockbuster, why not just follow that simple Summer Blockbuster convention?
Did they want Scarlett to be the lead? Because we see her first. She has an arc, as in wants money, by the end decides to open source it. She's also on all the marketing. It feels like at some point they wanted to, but then they forgot to actually put that in the script. So it really does just end up, we have 15 characters on a boat. Obviously some are going to start dying.
Missed the trick making Jonathan Bailey American too. And like, I even thought, would we do the whole thing where, because, you know, handsome man, put him in some glasses and give him a shitty haircut, that by the end, you know, the shirt's ripped, the glasses are off, the hair's a bit more coiffed.
He looks like Nathan Drake.
Yeah,
He's got like the
basically.
bandoliers on.
Not a bad you know.
But basically, people start dying. We get a cool action scene on a boat.
3 people, but everyone else, central character-wise.
That's the weirdest thing, you're right. That we start with so many characters, we get it down to an almost manageable number, but then we split the party up, which is every dungeon master's worst nightmare, because
Split the party.
you literally have to go between these 2 groups now, especially when one of them is just walking, completely pointless.
A dad with a bad leg, except sometimes when it can't be. I mean, I guess adrenaline can kick in, but they full on go bad leg, but then he seemingly is limping, but then he's not.
Yeah. Dad needed to die to make that group anything decent. They get the raft set piece.
But then we just go off to the missions.
It's basically video game cutscenes for one of them. We get a couple of weird things. So we have to go after each type of dinosaur to get the trifecta. We've now done the first one in the first 45 minutes. We've got the water one.
The land one is just the big one that are chill. So that's an easy get.
Jonathan Bailey gets his big moment where he gets to see dinosaurs for the first time. The music swells, and I guess it kind of works because Jonathan Bailey plays it so well. Like, I think I believe him that I'm like, okay, you do love these dinosaurs. He has a fun line about he wants to die in a stream and get covered in silt so that he gets fossilized. I'm like, that's a cute, nerdy thing that a paleontologist would want.
Of that, but yeah.
No, yeah, that's his one moment. But then after they shoot the Titanosaurus, which is super duper easy, they have to go get the flying one.
Which involves climbing.
And a ancient Aztec temple. Just randomly, like the pterodactyl has made its nest inside of this temple mouth. But it makes me feel like the movie should have been Indiana Jones meets like Jurassic Park. Like, wouldn't that be at least a bit more fun? After they do that, they just have to escape. And then we get another action sequence at the end with the Rancorsaurus and the
flying.
Yeah, we get flying velociraptors, basically.
There's a sequence in which they're going under the tunnels, which feels very alien. Even the way the tunnels look feels like we're in Alien Romulus. But ScarJo hears the noise of the family, who she hasn't seen, I think, for ages at that point.
A full day.
Slides down, gets out the gun, and shoots the dinosaur behind them.
They were in the service station doing basically the kitchen scene. And because it's basically the same scene, but with the velociraptors that can now fly, it was very confusing to me because why are velociraptors more terrifying when they can fly?
Yeah.
Because it's not like our crew flies. Like, it's not like they get into a plane, fly away, and they're like, phew, we're safe. Oh no, pterodactyls. I think part of the magic of Jurassic Park, right, is like, I know what those creatures are. Right. I can look them up separately.
Right.
With dinosaurs, I know what a velociraptor can do, but because so many creatures in this movie are new dinosaurs I've never heard of or mutated things.
Monsters.
There's no connection because they're monsters.
The pumping up of the raptors in that film is so cool because Sam Neill has the actual like claw.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you're coming for the T-Rex, but the raptors are going to be what you're going to be talking about when you leave. And so there's no hyping up of dinosaurs, which I get it because we've all seen these films now. I can respect the fact that this is creatively a really difficult thing to do because they're not horror films, really. They're not big gore-fest movies.
Yes, they have to be somewhat family.
Which, from my understanding, the last ones really lent into that, where we're in, like, glass balls and...
Yeah. First Jurassic World did have something going for it, even if it did devolve.
That. I do remember enjoying that, because that film's novelty was, but what if the park worked? Yeah. So you actually got to see the park working.
Yeah, which is weirdly something the first 3 never do.
Yes, so it was a cool thing to continue that. I think, if you had to summarize it, I think the ending also, like, because we don't know these characters and the whole goal has been escape. So there's been no, like, raising the stakes or reasons to be doing this, like in the original, where it's like, we're initially there to, like, it's such a dorky premise and I love it, where it's like, we want you to kind of, like, review it. To check it's all good, and then shit goes wrong. So in this, it's just they get there, they get the things relatively easy, escape. Yeah. There's no character moments. There's no moment in which when Mahershala Ali decides to sacrifice himself, like you can imagine the equivalent of he's been building that. You could see the version, a very dramatic version, I must admit, of like him building towards that moment.
Yeah,
that like he needs to die properly. You know, like a gladiator thing, like he's going off to see his son.
Well,
now.
He says, "I'm not going to die in the jungle."
Yeah.
So then later on, he dies in the jungle. Mahershala Ali doesn't actually die. The big plot twist is that he is alive.
And that's the end of the film.
Yeah.
It's like the closing sequence is getting away from the D-Rex. He then does the whole follow the light over here. I understand it's hard because you can't have a punch up with a dinosaur, but Jurassic World leans into the funny silliness of like it's T-Rex versus like remember the end of that where they finally bring
fight.
Yeah, you bring the T-Rex out and it's canonically the same T-Rex from the first film.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like Spielberg confirmed. The elements just didn't mesh together as well as I think they could have done, and it's probably down to the fact that this was such a quick turnaround.
Yeah, the resolution really is everyone that had a name survives. We end up with 3 deaths by the end, so nothing was really as dangerous as we had thought it was. And they still got away with all 3 McGuffins, so they're still saving the day.
Which don't matter.
It's weird, because I wouldn't not recommend this movie to people.
No, you've just got to go in with the right expectations.
Yeah, and I would maybe not pay money for it to the cinema, because it is not cheap to go to the movies, and this movie probably doesn't provide as much as it should for the price. But when this comes to Netflix, 100%, you might as well. It's 2 hours of your time. You get 4 pretty good sequences, and you just have a little bit of time to nap whenever Scarlett Johansson and Mahershala Ali and Jonathan Bailey talk.
Well, I was maybe going to give it a 5. I might give it a 6 now because I always bring up the teacher stuff if I know a kid's having a tough time at home or they're working too long at KFC, but they turn it in and it's a C. Maybe it's a C+.
When
now.
Universal's your dad and it beats you, you're like, I'm sorry, buddy. I'm sorry, Jurassic Park.
But hey, at least I got to see the Odyssey teaser.
The major thing that annoys me about this movie is I think there is a good movie in here somewhere.
Oh, definitely. It's called Jurassic Park. So.
I'm shocked we've never done Aliens, like Alien 2, but Jurassic Park. We've never just gone in with guns.
You think like small scale version of this?
Yeah, because obviously dinosaurs will go down a lot easier than an alien.
Yeah.
But there's some kind of spooky you can do there. Or maybe you could make it a horror movie. Because sure, you won't get your family $1 billion money, but you could make it cheaper. You could make it spookier.
I still think it would clean up there.
Yeah, so that's it. But let us know what you thought of it.